Hi, everyone. Welcome to Grab Your Keys. I am very excited to have our next guest, Mike Ack from KL Discoveries, specializing in VP Legal Solutions. If I said that correctly, I might have just gotten a whole mouthful of good stuff.
Perfect.
So,
That's perfect.
but what I wanted to say to everyone is we were introduced through Provisors about a year ago, and I have found great value in, being a peer of yours and really watching you grow a fantastic networking group of like-minded professionals. And I thought maybe what we could do is have a great chat today with regards to like what business you do, what success you found. And I'm sure that our viewers will be super excited to hear about your company and what you do. So Mike, why don't we start it off with what do you do?
What do I do? Well, thanks for having me, Sue. By the way, I'm excited.
It'll be
I
great.
don't get a chance to do a lot of podcasts like this, so this is pretty cool for me. So, we KO Discovery, we're all about legal data. So, attorneys, law firms, in-house corporate law departments, they have a lot of data they have to deal with: e-discovery, forensics, cyber incident response data. There's data everywhere, especially when it comes to any sort of legal matter, investigations and litigations and such. And so we build technology to help those lawyers manage that data. And we've been doing it for a while. I've been doing this, since I was a kid, and really enjoy it.
How did you get into this type of business? Like you said, you got into it while you were a kid. Like, did you go to school for it? Like, how did you just fall into it?
Yeah. So nobody goes to school for this, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny. We
Nobody
all,
goes to school for mortgage either.
yeah, right. Um, so a buddy of mine from Boston, I grew up in outside of Boston. A buddy of mine started this legal copying thing, and he wanted to open up a branch in Philly. And he called me up, and he said, "Hey, Mike, we need somebody to help manage this branch in Philly that we're opening." And I was at an insurance company, and so I said, "Yeah, that sounds like a good, uh, sort of opportunity for me because it's a startup." And I always found that startups are where you can really shine if you're talented, if you're personable, and if you have that sort of right outlook on business, right? So I jumped at it and learned about the all legal discovery process, and then it turned into electronic, and we had to build tools and we had to readjust, and here I am.
So the pivot is super important. It seems like as you've built your career, especially going from one technology into another technology in this legal field of data, you had to pivot and you were up for the pivot.
Absolutely. I mean, we adjusted first from copying, then to scanning, so it became digital images, then to electronic, handling all the electronic emails and everything. And we had to build tools along the way. I had to learn them. I dig in. I had to learn what databases were, and that was actually a lot of fun. That when we had to pivot and create new technologies that no one else had, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. What made that fun? Was it the discovery of it that made, which is in your name? Was it the discovery of it that made it fun, or was it the educating yourself that made it fun, or was it the like the innovation,
Yeah,
or all of it?
it was the excitement of innovation because we were able to. I was with a company that we were able to figure out new ways to tackle problems, and the lawyers and some of the biggest firms in the world were all over it. And so that was exciting times to see this company that I was with grow, exponentially because of the innovation that we had. And luckily, we did have a president that was all in on investing into that technology.
Yeah, that the buy-in is really important.
Yeah.
When dealing with something like that. What would you say? I mean, does every attorney need your data discovery, or is it a small piece? Like, what's your perfect client? Like, be
Yes,
wanting your services?
that's a great question, because you think all attorneys have data, or all litigators have data, but there's a lot of litigators that handle medical malpractice or personal injury, and the discovery is like one folder. They're not going to need me. They don't want to deal with me. In fact, they're happy that they don't need me because their life is less stressful.
Right.
The big litigators, they have a lot of discovery. There's a lot of documents, and or specialty things, where you need phones, imaged or something. So it's a small percentage of litigators in specialty fields, business litigation, that need us.
So what do you feel your 3 keys to success have been over your career?
Yeah, another great question. I told my
I
kids
only try to ask great questions.
Yes, I mean all after another here. They have to get better every time too. So I always told my kids growing up, life is about relationships. You're dealing with people, you're living with people, and so that's the way that's one of the keys, is everything is about relationships. So embrace the relationships, be kind to people, care about people, solve problems, right? And solve problems with a smile. And details matter, which is what I call caring, right? I'm not a details guy, but I know that they matter. And when I'm involved, even in a proposal, I want it to be perfect. It matters. It matters to the person you're dealing with, the person you're delivering it to. So that's what I would say. Relationships, details matter, solve problems, and you're off and running to success.
Yeah, all while being kind.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that as well?
Yes, the details definitely. I have been saying for years, the details matter. Mm-hmm. I also say that I solve problems every day for people. Mm-hmm. So I love I love solving problems. Mm-hmm. While in the relationship, being kind, being empathetic, and being vulnerable. Like, you can't get as much out of a relationship. You get as much out of a relationship as you give.
Yeah, that is so true.
And it's taken a long, being in the mortgage industry, it's taken me a long time after, constant rejection at a younger age, mm-hmm. Before being an expert, you build up this wall mm-hmm. of being kind of hard. Yeah. And it took years, especially when I was the CEO of Centennial, it took years to take down that wall, to actually be like, I'm in it up to my elbows. I'll be in it with you. And if I get hurt along the way, it's okay. Right. Because the relationship of building the relationship is better than not having it.
Yeah, it's true. And, I look back on my career, and some of those early relationships I had with, key members at law firms, if I see them at a legal conference now today, it's like a family reunion.
Right.
And they helped me get started. I was learning just like you, and you need people to help you learn. You need people to guide you, to be generous enough to give of themselves, to, give you a shot, to give you a chance.
Yeah, I was just listening to another I was just listening to another podcast with Gary V. Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a big marketing expert, and he said, he was speaking at a keynote, and he said that if you ever have time to spend time with older people in their 80s and 90s, to listen to their stories, and the stories that they'll tell you are mostly the relationships that they have missed out on, or that they towards. And he said, just remember that and build those relationships. In the technology world, where we all have our telephone, which we all live on our phone, I can't live without it. Right. Sometimes you just have to put it down and really like love on that relationship. And that's also in the details. Like, the details are, wearing a jacket or putting on your glasses. And then also the details are, are you listening to the person? Are you finding out what's important to them to put in that contract? Yeah. Because if you come to, I would think if you come to a legal firm with a contract and it doesn't hit the keys of what they wanted, you're not getting it.
Yeah. Listening is another key, and that's something that I've really had to work on. I'm not. I always wasn't the best listener, and that's something that I did have to work on. I'm not perfect.
You've talked about a lot of evolution and pivoting in your past with the business that you're in, especially in technology. I mean, it's a technology world. Where do you see the future with going? Are you still going to continue to be pivoting? Like, what is the future hold for your business and for protecting the legal system with all that information and data?
Yeah, it's have you heard of this thing called AI?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
So I mean, it sounds like just a rote answer because we're all talking about it. Honestly, in the legal field, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because, we've been using particular types of AI for 12, 15 years, predictive coding, predictive behavior. You like something over and over again. Well, the data is going to give you something that you like, right? Just like Netflix gives you the shows you like. But this Gen AI is scaring the hell out of these attorneys, judges, courts, because it's an unknown world to a lot of people. The security of it is baffling to people. So you have to wrestle all that down, and then you have to deliver a product that is actually going to be effective and secure. There's going to be education involved. So, people worried about their jobs. That's not necessarily going to happen, but they're worried. And so AI, deep fakes in terms of evidence is going to be huge. Emojis, like how do you handle emojis now is the next big thing in documents, because when you get email or texts and chats, that's part of discovery. So are all those emojis. Those emojis sometimes mean more than the words on the text.
Right.
So that's the new technology that we see, and we're going to have to build tools. I mean, we already are in the process of building them, but build and then deliver tools so that attorneys can use, get a hold of that new technology that they need to.
Yeah, the AI GTP is my best friend, even though I don't know how to say it. So I think that it is amazing, but I can see where it's a little scary at the same time. I don't think it's going to take my job, but I think that it will make things a little easier because I can say, hey, chat, what is a mortgage payment for a $300,000 house with a 6.5% interest rate? And it figures it out right away. And I don't even need to calculate it.
Right.
So it doesn't add taxes and insurance and everything, but it's pretty smart. What's a piece of advice that you use every day?
This is just another thing that I think I've learned over time is let go of anger, forgive. It's hard for people, and sometimes it's hard for me, but I've come to really embrace it. I think that's important. Anger eats at people. It's really I mean, we only have one life. Let's have fun and let's make it full of joy whenever we can.
Yeah. What do you enjoy doing in your free time when you're not working?
I like doing podcasts with you. Number one.
That's nice. Thank you.
Provisors, which we can talk about a little bit, but I'm really into sailing, and so I'll be taking my first Virgin charter on my own sailboat, not mine. I'm chartering a sailboat, no captain. I'll be the captain, and my wife is going to be co-captain with me, and that's going to happen in March. So, I mean, that could change the course of our lives. Because if we can live on a boat, we can go anywhere.
Right.
And we can work anywhere and we can change our lives because there's so many places where you can just hop on a boat and sail, wherever you want.
That will be super fun and a great adventure for you guys. If you were to mentor your younger self, what would you do differently? Or what would you say?
In my younger years, I could have been more bold. Um, and sometimes when you're young, you 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 sort of fake it before you make it a little bit instead of just being yourself. I know sometimes it's important to fake it before you make it, but I think the boldness, I might have made different decisions along the way, to be radically honest, instead of sort of letting things go or be. I wish I had been more bold.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is more confident, more bold.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are. That's just me,
Right.
I
You had to grow into it.
Yeah. And even now it's something I need to work on. You get into when you get into a spot of leadership, it can be scary. I mean, you're CEO. Your first months of being a CEO had to be a little bit scary at times, right? You're figuring things out. But you're dynamite at that job. I mean, you really have the confidence, and you can see it in you. You carry it.
Well, that's nice. Thank you for saying that. I've worked hard on that for a long time. And I think it's just in the experience and knowing your trade and knowing your skill, which you obviously do know. In Provisors, let's just talk about a networking group for a little while. How important do you think is being in a networking group for any profession?
I do think it's important, for a couple different reasons. One, for your own business, you want to stay involved in the community, and also for your own personal. I'll use the word again, community. Like, there's good people you can surround yourself with, and you never know. Again, relationships, when those relationships are going to be needed, beyond the world of business, and that's been like the 1A 1B for Provisors for me.
Right. And I love with Provisors the like-minded group that they really have a like-minded mindset of, know, like, trust, refer. I think that that's super important. And I think that what I love about it is I always put myself in communities that make me be even better.
Yeah. So, that's smart. That's very wise. Some people don't have the too much ego for that.
Yeah.
That's very wise, Sue.
So I felt that Provisors really was a little bit outside my comfort zone. I kind of felt it through the first 6 months. Like and you're amazing to be a leader in that, because you do understand people are feeling it out, making sure that, I could dip my toe in, then dip my foot in. And then, then I was like, I didn't do as much as I wanted to do this past year. I'm going to do more. It's really, if you're in a networking group, really need to make sure that you're comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable at times.
Yes.
If you don't do that, then you are not fulfilling what you need. You're not fulfilling your bucket as much of why you decided to do that. And I think that, being in different referral groups, meeting with different people is so important, because I could stick to my realtor group as much as I wanted to. I get referrals there all the time, but I like to, educate people on, you can use me in your business. The lawyers can use me in their business. The coaching people can use me in their business. And having that, you're only as good as the 5 or 10 people that you surround yourself with all the time. And that starts every morning you wake up.
That's right. That's right.
So I always try to be with people who really help me be better for me. And I am still in the Entrepreneurs Organization for years, over a decade. And then I really love that I was introduced to Provisors, and know that I haven't even really unleashed all that it can be.
Yeah, the value there. And I think you did touch on what you were saying is about growth, personal growth. I had the same journey as you with Provisors. The first 3 months, I'm like, what's going on? What am I
Yeah.
doing? I mean, I went to the meetings, but I didn't figure it out quite yet. And then when I got myself involved and I started guesting, the whole world of Provisors opened up to me, and the friends I've made since, and being in a, I'm fortunate, grateful to be leader of a group, and I want to do everything I can to make sure everybody has a great experience.
Yeah, you do a great job at that. So I love that. What is in the future for Mike Eck besides sailing the world by yourself on a chartered
Yeah,
boat
I
while working on private legal data?
I do see retirement on the horizon.
Mhm.
My wife found a chance to retire from Pfizer after 25 years
That's
through
great.
a shuffling, and they gave her a great package. So now I have a spouse who's retired,
Mhm.
and it makes me think like, okay, what do I need to do to in the next 2-3 years to find out what's next for me. I know sailing will be a component, but honestly, I'm not sure what else. Um, I love the world of food, and I'm tinkering with the idea of doing some like importing
Yeah,
from
that's cool.
various farms in Italy, and so I'm talking to somebody about that. But how much money can you make importing capers? I don't know yet, but if there's something there, maybe that'll be a part of it.
Yeah, and I think that
Certainly
that's
travel.
yeah, I think it's great that you're thinking about it, talking about it. Look, you could write all your travel off if you were importing stuff.
That's right.
So there's some tax benefits to that.
That's right.
So
That's a good point.
yeah,
Really good point.
I look forward to seeing you and working with you in the future. Thank you so much for being on Grab Your Keys today.
Of
Everyone,
course.
share, like, promote. We're here to help everyone realize what their keys are. So go grab those keys.